my higher self, she was activated. I literally heard her say in my mind, like, finally, I'm free. And I was able to let her kind of take over my body. And, all right, here you guys go. This is going to be she's lost it. Hello, 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 and welcome back to Bree Speaks podcast. I am your host, Bree Speaks, who created the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control. The 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control are patriarchy, capitalism, corporatism, racism, ableism/ageism, speciesism, and Abrahamic religions. Those are the 7 pillars that control our minds, that have indoctrinated us in all kinds of ways, make us think things that are not true, make us believe things that are not true, make us stop believing in ourselves, that take away our internal authority, our compass from right from wrong, that we know lies dormant inside of us or awakened inside of us if some of us have elevated to that point in our lives. But we are here to deconstruct all of those one by one, all at the same time, sometimes 2 at a time, however it takes for me to get it through people's head that you don't have to listen to any of these things. You don't have to believe any of these things. And these things are just external controllers that are trying to take away your internal sovereignty, which will be a little bit of a theme, because one of the things that I did during my ayahuasca trip was I wrote this poem called I versus We. I'll say it at the end, but it talks about internal sovereignty, and it came out of me as I was just coming out of one of the ceremonies, which, okay, let me just talk about what it's I went on a 17-day ayahuasca trip journey thing in the Amazon rainforest in Iquitos, Peru, at a place called Temple of the Way of Light. I did research a bunch of places, and this was just one of the places that kept coming up. The reviews were just like, it's good, it's authentic, because if you search up ayahuasca journeys, you'll find a bunch of places that are like, in a Western world, like Spain, or I don't know if they have any in America. Honestly, I didn't even bother to look in America, but I did see some in Spain specifically, in other European places, but they were like hosted at like luxury resorts. And I was just like, as someone who has made a video on the consciousness of plants and animals before I even took this trip, and I'll tag it here somewhere, I understood that this was not supposed to be it's not a luxury trip. It's not a vacation. You're not going somewhere to have, sip beach vibes and do mojitos. Like, ayahuasca is a medicine. It is a plant medicine. And what you learn while you're in the appropriate spaces is that she's a she. Well, which, I feel like all plants in Mother Nature are she, but whatever, gender regardless, they refer to her as a she. She is a plant with a really, like, a large spirit. Like, okay, so what is ayahuasca? Let's just start there. Ayahuasca is what the Western world would like to call it as a psychedelic drug, but the Western world calls everything a drug because they treat everything as drugs. They treat everything as like temporary band-aids to fix problems instead of using them as the medicines they are to actually cure internal or external diseases. So she's a psychedelic, but in these indigenous cultures, and the people that I worked with were called the Shipibo people, and they are an indigenous tribe native to South America who have for generations passed down the knowledge and understanding of how to use this plant medicine, and how she works. And so ayahuasca is a plant medicine made for curing and healing. Is just like, we're not broken. Anyways, energetic problems with inside of you. And so a lot of people who have drug addictions will, go here because, like, something, it's like it heals traumas, like traumas that, it's not like you got, stabbed or shot, or, I don't know what I can say on YouTube, or like in a car accident, like physical problems that have happened to you. It's not, something for that. It is healings of the soul. And, something, if you're new here, hello, welcome. But something I've been trying to explain to people, and this place helped me really put words and pen to paper, is that everyone, which I've said it before, but I feel like a better explanation now, but everyone has a physical body, and then they have a soul body or an energetic body. And I'm going to make a video, soon, that actually, because this whole thing, this was a wonderful trip. I'm gonna get into it in a second, but to help me explain what is happening while you're there, I want to paint a little bit of a picture. And so I'm gonna do that through zodiacs, which, if you don't believe in zodiacs, then again, you're really just on the wrong channel. And if it's just like, why not? It's because you haven't really studied it. If you just know your sun sign and you're like, oh, that's not super accurate, right? That's because you have like 11 other planetary placements that make up who you are, and you have to figure out how they interact with one another and how they make up who you are. But besides all of that, you have two parts of you. Everything has two parts. Everything has a polarity, has duality, has two pieces, right? A left and a right, a up and a down, an in and an out. And so our outward expression of our bodies is this physical body that you can see, and I'm a Cancer, right? And the internal, an infinity sign is a great way to put it for many reasons that I won't go into. But you have I always call this your nervous system, like just like the middle where your spirit body, we call this the spirit body, and then your physical body. So you've got your spirit body and your physical body, and then they interact inside your nervous system, which is where, why it's important to keep your nervous system calm, which is why all the gurus and all the monks, they go to meditate all the time, because you want to keep your nervous system and your emotions calm, because it's how you access and understand and can feel and become in touch with your spirit body. So anyways, you have your physical body, which is one zodiac. So mine is a Cancer. And then the opposite polarity of that zodiac is, for me, is a Capricorn, which is an earth sign. And so my spirit body, which also is called your higher self, is a good, people call it your higher self. Like, it's like your physical body is your temporary body that it comes and it goes. Like, I have this physical body now. I've been a different physical body in a different life. In a different life, I was another physical body before that. And after I die, I'll be another physical body in the future. But your eternal life, your eternal spirit, your spirit is lasts forever. This is the thing that densifies down into the human form. And then when you die, it disperses again into its spirit body, and then it densifies again, it comes back, and it's so this part of you controls, I would say it controls everything. I would say it controls more than your physical body. Physical body, this is what, the narcissistic white governments want you to believe is the only thing that exists. But this part is the part that actually, like, that controls so much of you. Like, I can't explain that, and so this is the part that ayahuasca is working with. Ayahuasca is working with your energetic body, your spirit body, your soul body, whatever you want to call it, because this is where a lot of your traumas are held. A lot your soul remembers. Your soul, what is it? They say the body keeps the score, because your body is a physical manifestation of your spirit. And so by the time it gets to your body, your spirit is already fudged. Your spirit is messed up. Your spirit needs healing. And it's like when we're in the physical, the same thing happens of like, if you don't catch a Cancer, when it's small inside the physical, it'll manifest and get bigger in the physical, like that same property, because everything is a microcosm of something else. Everything is a macrocosm of something else. Everything is a derivative of something else. Like when you look at the world as a whole, you just find out that the entire world is a bunch of Russian stacking dolls. Everything is the same. It's just is at different levels and different dimensions. So the same thing happens with your spirit. Like, your problems manifest in the spirit first, and then they slowly manifest into the physical. And then from the physical, they slowly manifest into even more of a physical problem. And so we are here in the ayahuasca world, in the jungle, in the Amazon rainforest. We are working with spirit body, energetic body. Okay. So why did I go? So that's what ayahuasca is. She's an energetic healer, and they're a psychedelic and that's what's happening in the spirit body. And then what's happening in the physical, you'll be seeing colors, it's colors, but like really what I found is like those colors, you're in the spirit realm. Those colors are the spirit realm. People telling you like, oh, I saw all these crazy stuff. That's because you're in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is a colorful place. It's colorful. It's beautiful. It's overwhelming. I found the fourth dimension. So, we live in the 3D where you can only go up, down, side to side, kind of like, forward or backwards, but you get to go in and out in the spirit world. It's like, it's weird. I don't know how to explain. You can't really, it's hard to conceptualize. It's a very abstract construct here in the 3D. But the 4D, crazy place. So that's what ayahuasca is. Hopefully that was a explanation that you understand. And so why did I go? So if you've been here a while, you know that, back in October of 2025, I lost/quit my job. It was a mutual understanding that we both were like, this is not working out. We broke up. I broke up with my job. And then I realized I actually hated corporate America anyways, and I never want to go back. And so far, I've still yet to have to go back. Woo, shout out to me. But then shortly after that, my husband, actually, at the time, he got in a car accident in my car, and he totaled my car. And I'm just like, ladies, never let a man drive your car, because my sister's baby father crashed her car, and my other sister's baby father crashed her car. And I've got so many friends who's like, when a woman lets a man drive her car, he's like, whether he's a good driver or not. And here's the thing, like, whether he's a good driver or not, I just feel like men crash women's cars. I don't know what that is. I think that's like something in the spirit world that's happening, that's saying like that man is not supposed to be driving your car anyway, even if you love him. If he don't got his own car, ladies, don't let him drive it, because either now or later, he's going to crash it. So anyways, my husband crashed my car. So then I didn't have a car. And then, I didn't have much. So I was working by myself, working on my businesses, working on my YouTube. And then I realized, hey, I was only happy in my marriage because I was so miserable at my job. And so then I was just like, dang, don't want to be married, divorce my husband. And then I had no job and no husband. And so I had to do something with my kid. And so I gave up full custody to his dad. And now my son lives with his dad, which is, I was super sad about it at first, but it's been fantastic. And actually, he's home right now for the summer. I have him for summers. I'm a summer mom. Woo. And I've been talking to him and he seems to be he's adjusting well enough. So, good to go. But I was in a place of, what do I do with my life now? I don't have a job. I don't have a husband. I'm not a mom. Like I am a mom, but I don't have the motherly duties that I used to have. And so I didn't feel lost because like I said, I was already working on my YouTube. I was working on my businesses. I was working on my book, but I was just like, it was just something that I felt called to do. And they'll tell you that is if you feel called, if you hear Mother Ayahuasca calling you, you should go. And so I and then I guess I can tell you how I found out about it, which is funny enough. I was watching, this is like years ago, which how many years ago was it that Jada Pinkett Smith cheated on Will Smith with the boy? What's the boy's name? The light-skinned boy. What's his name? I don't know his name. August Alsina. Yeah. Okay. So, wow, is that really 2020? It said they confirmed that relationship on a Red Table Talk episode of June 2020. So it was around June 2020 that I had heard about ayahuasca because I remember hearing about it. I think I heard about it even before Jada Pinkett Smith, but she was like the first, her and I think Willow were talking about it at some point on the channel. And it was one of the first time I had seen people of color talking about it. And so I was just like, And they talked about what a transformative experience it was for them, how it helped them get closer to themselves, all this stuff. And I was just like, very, very interesting. And then I had started hearing about it more. And I was just like, I don't know. And so just something inside of me was just like, I need to go give this a try. Something is like, I need to do this. But this was, over six years ago now. And so, but it just never left my mind. It never left my mind as like something I need to do. So after I divorced my husband, it was like, now is the time. Now is the time. I just felt like now is the time. And I straight away booked my tickets. Apply. You have to apply to apply because they don't allow anyone to come if you have schizophrenia. You're not necessarily eligible to go because while it can help people with certain mental health, I call it mental health because that's a whole thing, whatever. But with certain Western diagnosed mental health issues, while it can help them, it may take a more intensive process and care than they are able to give. And that is because, spoiler, but you may or may not hear voices. You probably will hear voices. I won't say probably. You may or may not hear voices while you're under the influence of the ayahuasca. And so if you already hear voices in your regular everyday, you will need extra help to manage that experience. And you come in my group, I think was a group of 23. And I think maybe all the groups are 23, but I think they're up to 23. And so they can't give you the one-on-one care that you may need while you are undergoing this sort of transformative process that may be extremely intense for you when you already have, I call it like a porous spirit because your higher self is you, but it's the part of you that is connected to the spirit realm. And so if you are hearing voices in your head, and I'm not a doctor, so hey, I have to do this disclaimer. I'm an energetic person. I'm a spirit person. And so this is what a lot of indigenous cultures, especially in Africa and in South America, believe. But, the narcissistic white government has to tell you that I'm wrong. And so I have to tell you that I'm not a doctor because then the narcissistic white government might try and come and get me, or someone might try to sue me and use and weaponize the narcissistic white governments against me. So just my disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. But when you hear voices in your head, a lot of times it does come from that is your spirit self or a spirit or some of your spirit guides. And they're talking to you through your brain. And that happens uncontrollably. A lot of times when you've had a lot of trauma to your physical body. And your higher self is here to guide you and protect you. Your higher self is the one who decided to manifest down into the 3D, into this earthly dimension. And it is still their experience as well as your experience. And so when you have a lot of trauma happen to you, your higher self is still going to try to protect you. And so that they will take over your physical body, your physical mind, so that your physical body doesn't have to continue to be in pain or experience this earth the way that, you're experiencing it because it causes too much harm, too much trauma, too much grossness. And so it kind of it kind of like breaks the barrier between your higher self and your lower self. And so you will hear lots of voices. But when that barrier is not broken and you are, your lower self, you can work with certain medicines to lower that barrier between your spirit self and your physical self so that you have more access. And boy, oh boy, did I have access to my higher self, y'all. The girl, like, first of all, I was just like, I love her. I love her. Going back to the polarities, my lower self is a Cancer, but my higher self is a Capricorn. And so while people think that the opposite of water is fire, which is true, but like the opposite polarity of water is earth. So the opposite of like extra, like flowy, lack of boundaries is solid, rigid structure. But they're both feminine signs. Like the water signs and earth signs are feminine signs, and air signs and fire signs are masculine signs. And so the opposite polarity of a water sign is an earth sign, and the opposite polarity of a fire sign is a air sign. So, but they're not, but it's just, so anyway, so she's an earth sign. So I'm like, well, I'm like, soft and cancery and sweet and like loving and mother. She's still also motherly, but she is like, I'm the nurture mother, and my higher self is she's the structure mother. She's the discipline mother. She's the mother who's like, you got to do your homework. You got to go to bed on time. You got to, have a good routine, she's structure. And so also I try to be like, super humble. I grew up poor. I was a teen mom, all this stuff. I'm very grateful for everything I have all the time. People get like anything that I get, I'm just super grateful because I come from basically nothing. But my higher self, what an egotistical bitch. I was just like, ooh, when I met her and I was talking to her, I was just like, she is fiery, feisty. But I'll get into that. So let's talk about the process. So after you apply, they ask you all these questions like what medications you're taking, what recreational medications you're taking, your psychological status, what diagnoses you have, to make sure that you are a good candidate to receive this sort of healing and process. And so, did all the applications. They have to approve you. Once you get approved, then you're allowed to pay your deposit. You can pay it all at once. And I'll be transparent about the cost. So for a 12-day retreat, as of right now, today, July 5th, 2026, it costs $4,400 for their 12-day retreat. This is, it includes 12 days. You get healers, and it comes with like plant baths. Oh yeah, it is limited to 23 people, facilitators. You get steam baths with more plants. Lots of you and plants become very close while you're in the jungle. And so what's not included, this doesn't include your airfare, doesn't include transportation to the group meeting point in Iquitos. Oh, okay, yeah. So you have to get yourself to Iquitos via plane, and then wherever you stay is up to you. But there's a specific meeting point in Iquitos on the day that they leave, where they, you got to get on the bus, and they're not going to pay for your Ubers, basically. But I will say they do have a partnership with a hotel, the hotel that they do pick you up from, and that hotel it's between $450 and $60 a night, depending on what room you want to book. If you book if you text my email the hotel and say, hotel, I'm coming with the Temple of the Way of Light, can I get this Temple of the Way of Light discount? Because otherwise the room stay is like, like 100 or 200. I don't know how much, but it's like, I know it's over $100 a night if you don't use their discount, or if you stay, somewhere else not affiliated, then you have to pay more. So I was really appreciative of the fact that they have this partnership with the hotel, and you get to stay there for $50 a night if you decide to do that. So I actually came 2 days early to Iquitos, and then I stayed a day after I got back from the actual trip to the jungle, because it was affordable. Okay, and I'll go through the schedule in a second. Okay, so day 1, they pick you up and you arrive at the temple. So it's called the Temple of the Way of Light, and the temple is it's really a grounds in the Amazon jungle, which I don't even know if it's actually the Amazon jungle or like a derivative of the Amazon jungle. That's something I was talking to one of the locals about, and they were saying, you have to, from when they pick you up, it's like a 20-minute drive to this like port place. And then from the port, you have to get on a boat. And then the boat's like maybe a 20 to 20 minute boat ride. And then once you get off the boat, there's like another 20 to 30 minute walk to the temple. So it's like pretty remote, pretty like deep in a jungle. So the first day you get there at around, I don't know, like noon-ish, and they bathe you with it. So they give you plant baths basically every day. And a plant bath is, which I love, and then they taught us how to do it at the end, but you can get like plants from your local area and you smell them. And if they smell good, then you can put them in a bath of water and then let them sit for like a few hours, and then you pour them over you, or you pour them on your body, and then you let it dry. You use a towel or anything, and so that the plant like properties sink into your body, and it was just super nice. They did it with DMT plants, which is a plant that causes like the psychedelic hallucinations, and you would think that because you're not smoking it or you're not eating it or you're not smelling it, like it has no effect. But I would do the plant bath with the DMT, and I would just like lay out in the sun to dry because again, they don't want you to towel it off. You're just supposed to let it sink into your body. And I would like, ooh, I was just like, and I was like, it's just like, ooh, this is I was just like, I was like, for many a days, I was just like, am I tripping? But these plant baths are like, every time I have a plant bath, I was just like, the sky started like moving a little weird. But then I found out later that they do put psychedelics in the bath. And so, but like some people didn't feel it. Just mind you, I will say I'm a very sensitive, energetic being. I'm like, if you see my other videos on how to be a more sensitive and connected person, I don't eat a lot of salt. I didn't even talk about the dieta, which is the preparation before coming. So before you get there, you have to cleanse your body. You have to prepare to receive this medicine. And so you cannot have any caffeine for the last week before you get there. No alcohol, no salt, no sex, no drugs. They don't want you to take a lot of oils like butters and oils and fats. No processed foods. Like they want you clean as a whistle when you get there. And no pork. So most of the things that they were asking us to do, I actually don't do in my life anyway. I typically don't eat pork, not for any religious reasons. It's just like it just don't sit well in my system. I've always like every time I ate pork, my stomach just got a little. I don't really like that. Same thing with beef. It's like it's just if I just eat it, it's just like I don't really like that. So I've always been like a chicken and fish kind of gal anyway. So that wasn't a big deal for me. I just got divorced, so no sex was easy. No lettuce or greenery. That was a little more difficult, I will say, as someone who enjoys the occasional cannabis. But yeah, but it was like, but I haven't at this point. It's been 2 months clean. It's just like it wasn't so hard. It was like I stop all the time just to make sure that I can, because people always say I can stop when I want to. But then they never actually stop. So I always do little like 2 or 3 month or 1 month, sometimes like hiatuses, just to make sure I still got the muscle to stop when I feel like it. And I always have. And so now I'm 2 months clean from the greenery, and it's been fine. It's been fine. It's been wonderful. I have no, like, it's just another one of my hiatuses. And I thought I was going to come back and never want to smoke again, but that's not the truth. That is not the truth. I am, I'll partake in the near future whenever I'm ready. So yeah, so you can't do any of that stuff for 2 weeks before you get there. And I think it's like some stuff like it's just, like the hardest stuff is too like harder, like no schmecks, no drugs. Also, I have ADHD, and so I take a stimulant medication I used to take a stimulant medication for it every day. But they wanted me to stop that. So because they don't want anything to interact with the medicine. It's a long story short. They don't want you to have one medicine in you and then you take this medicine and then you have all these issues, and it's really because you've been drinking alcohol and smoking weed. So yeah, just FYI, that is, you have to do that 2 weeks before. And what are the consequences if you don't? I'm not sure. For the most part, like I said, I did all that stuff anyway. The only thing that was different was me just making sure I didn't smoke any weed and drink any caffeine, because I do like which I didn't even show you guys. I didn't have to. Mind you, if you want your Bree Speaks mug with the 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control, please do go to breespeaks.co. So yeah, I usually drink tea, and this is black tea right now, which does have caffeine. Delish. And so I couldn't drink my tea for a week, and I was like, But once you get there, when you get there, they also keep you on that diet. So they serve all the food to you. You don't have to cook or anything while you're there, but that food, it is, when I say as someone who has been to culinary school, it was the technicality of how it was cooked to perfection, but it was all with no salt. Y'all, I was crying. I was almost crying every day. I'm not gonna hold you. There were days where I almost cried because I'm just like, no salt to someone who is literally a chef. I made it. But I made it, and I'm proud of myself. I made it. But that was like, honestly, that was the hardest thing for me personally, was like the fact that every day, morning, noon, and dinner, I had to go and eat eggs with no salt, chicken with no salt, fish with no salt, salads with no salt. I was dying. I was like, if everyone kept just knew that the problem Bree had, it was this whole place was just like, there was no salt, but it's good. It makes you appreciate the things that you have. But yeah, so that was that. First impressions of the grounds, were beautiful. It was literally like, so you get there's the big temple is like this. It's called a maloka. It was just like everything. Oh, which one I do appreciate. Everything was built with sustainability in mind, built with how can we work with the jungle instead of against the jungle. Like, we are visitors here in this jungle, so we have to treat it as such. It is so anti-Western in its mentality, because the West is like, okay, I show up to an environment. How can I conquer this environment? How can I extract from this environment? How can I make this environment my bitch? While literally everyone else in the global majority shows up in an environment. It's like, okay, how can I work with this environment? How can I help this environment? How can I integrate myself with what's already here, which takes less energy, mind you, than what the West does, which is like literally burn and slash and cut everything down and then start from scratch, when it's just like there's so much already here that you can use for shelter and just integrate your way of life into the environment. It is so much more healthy, so much more sustainable, so much more ecologically friendly. But the West is like, nah, I'm gonna burn it all down. I'm just like, oh, God. So it was so beautiful. And that's another reason why I wanted to go to this place, because when I was reading it up, it was just so respectful of Mother Nature, of life. And it was so respectful of the traditions of the indigenous people who have this relationship with the jungle, who has this relationship with the earth. And they do, then it just, everything about it is reciprocity. Like anytime they took something, they always gave back. Like we had fresh fruits and vegetables, no pesticides and none of that stuff. You just pick it off of trees, eat it, and then, you know, if you're done with it or the seed or you don't finish it, you just throw it back on the ground, and guess what, the ants will take care of it tomorrow. Like it's just like there's nothing, everything worked in a cycle there the way it's supposed to. You put something on the ground, the things that ate it, they gain fuel, and then the other animals will come and eat those animals. And then so the things that they built, even the things that they built were like built from sustainable like wood and things. And they say they have to rebuild it every 3 years, because they said the jungle eats everything, and that's how it is. They don't put a bunch of like metals down, they don't put a bunch of chemicals down, they don't put a bunch of stuff that's like to make it last forever. They make it so that it lasts forever. That's how long it's supposed to last. And then they come and they rebuild it again. But the way they rebuild it is not very labor intensive. And so the one that the temple that we were in, they said it took them 3 days. It took them 3 days to put it up. So it's just like, it don't take a lot of work if you're working with the environment instead of working against it. And yeah, you have to do it in a sustainable way, which means you might have to do it again every 3 years. But it's like every 3 years you have to rebuild or touch up your house, you know, for 3 days. And then in return, the entire environment gets to stay alive and continue working for you and with you. And you get to keep, you know, getting the food from the land because you didn't burn it all down. Like, I just like, in my mind, it's an easy trade-off. I'll take 3 days of work every few years. And in return, I get fresh water, I get fresh food, I get to eat the animals if I want to, and as long as I, you know, give the bones and the rest of the animal back to the jungle, like it's just like, all right. So felt beautiful place. The grounds, and I can put and I'll put a picture of like, you get your own tambo, they call it, which is like your own little house, and I can put a video up of my tambo. Yeah, but it was beautiful. I will say, you know, there is no heating, but it's hot. You're in the jungle, it's hot all day, and whenever it rains, it's a relief. So you don't really need heat, and you don't need well, nah. I did miss air conditioning, I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie, I did miss some air conditioning, because there were times where it was hot and I was just like, I just want to be blown off. But they give you in your tambo, they give you a fan. This is a fan I actually had got like before I got there, because I was like visiting some indigenous people. Oh yeah, these earrings I got from Peru, this dress I got from Peru, of course this necklace I got from Peru. This is actually a piece of ayahuasca that they cut out and then they put it in a necklace, I think some sort of stones. And this is also a different stone. But this is my computer is doing weird. But this is my dress. It's my dress. Yeah, it's trying to track my face. Stop tracking my face. I wanted to see my dress. But yeah, so I was just basically there the whole time, fanning myself like a Peruvian goddess. It was beautiful. But I did miss AC, I will say. And then also, because they work in such a beautiful and sustainable way, they don't have hot water, so they use a water catchment system. So they have a way that they catch all that rain, all that fresh water rain, and they clean it and they filter it, and then they put it back into their water system. But they don't so you just turn on the water and the water comes out whatever temperature it is whatever temperature you get, and most of the time it's pretty cool. And so it's really great to take a shower at 2 p.m. when it's like peak sun. But when you're waking up in the morning and you want to take a shower and the sun isn't really out, because the sun, first of all, it's like 12-hour days and 12-hour nights. Like the sun goes down at like 6:30 and then it don't come back up until 6:30, 7 o'clock. And so all that time is dark, it's a little cold. It's a little cold. It's like hot when it's hot, and it's a little chilly when it's chilly. It's not like super cold. Like it's like night times, if I could give it a degree, so somewhere between probably like 68, 69. So it's like, it's not cold, but it's not like hot either. Like sometimes it might go to 65 at nighttime and you got a little blanket, you got a little thin blanket, but you don't want a thick blanket. Trust me, you don't want a thick blanket. But there might be a night or two where it does get down to like a 60, 62, and you're like, I wish I did have a little bit of a more blanket. But as soon as you say that, it gets hot again. And so you're just like, oh, glad I didn't have a big blanket. But so when you wake up, you have to take a shower, and those showers are a little cold. And then, or if you've been out in the heat all day and you had activity, so you didn't have a chance to like shower in the middle of the day, you might go home and it'll be dark because dinner is at 6, and so you don't get back to your little house until 7, and by 7 it's dark, and so it's cold, and so now you have to shower in the cold and in the dark. So that was like, if I have to put in one complaint, and it was just like, I don't know, it was still like I don't know, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either, and I felt like it made me stronger in some kind of way. But am I happy I got hot showers now? Yes. So as someone who was thinking about living off grid, I gotta figure out a way to heat my water if I'm being completely honest. But it was just, yeah, it's like if you can get your shower in at 2 p.m., you're good to go. Like those showers in the middle of the day, fantastic. All right, so that's kind of getting there and what it looks like. So let's get into these ceremonies, because that's what everyone is talking about. So there are 6 ceremonies, and the ceremonies are the times where you take the medicine. And you have the Shipibo people, the indigenous Shipibo people, like their descendants. Like these are like, the facilitators are like Westerners, kind of like, people who, I wouldn't call them white, because they were, one lady was Brazilian, one lady was Zimbabwean, but she was like a Zimbabwean lady who was white. But she was raised in Zimbabwe, but like in Zimbabwe, to my understanding, it's not like a South Africa where the white people from South Africa are basically just racist white people from any other European state. But nah, she wasn't racist. She was lovely. She was like, the facilitators were lovely, and they all spoke Spanish. And the Shipibo people, the indigenous people, like the healers, they spoke Spanish. They spoke Spanish and Shipibo, and then the facilitators spoke Spanish and English. And then they had also been working with the Shipibo people for like, some of them over 10 years. So they knew the Shipibo culture very well. So they would do the translation from English to Spanish, and then the Shipibo people would, understand what's happening, because they would also not only just, do direct translations, but they would do like cultural translations as well, which was beautiful and very important. And they were just so respectful of their culture. And you could just tell, because like, I'm not gonna lie, as who I am, as Bree Speaks, I was very hesitant when I walked in, and I was just like, because they really emphasize on the website like the Shipibo people, but when I saw like these Westerner people, I'm just like, so is this another version of colonization? You guys are using these people for their ancient knowledge and their ancient medicinal practices, but you're profiting off of them. Is this extraction? Is this another form of colonization? But I heard the story of the person who created it, and he was, some white man who went and did ayahuasca, but then the ayahuasca, she told him basically, you need to make this temple. And, that can also be like, questionable. But after working with the facilitators, working with the people, I will say Bree Speaks approved. As it pertains to like being respectful of the culture and not just using them and exploiting them, like no, they like basically the Shipibo people were running the game. Like whatever the Shipibo people wanted, whatever they said, they were in charge, and it was really basically the facilitators' job to make sure that we as the Westerners respected their customs, their traditions, respected their words, respected what they were doing. And so I was just like, good. So it wasn't colonization dressed up as healing. Although I will say, the people who in my 22 other people who were there, I liked them and they were enjoyable. A lot of them were this color, but and I didn't get any like overt racism out of them, because I will say the people who are going on a ayahuasca journey or an ayahuasca trip, they're already a level of woke, right? But I wouldn't call that a problem, but as someone who is woke AF, please sign up for my members only channels, which I'll give more of an authentic review in there. Well, no, this is an authentic review of the place, but I'll give a more authentic review of like the people and like some of the stuff that I just won't put up here. But for what I'll say about the people, because I know a couple of them are going to follow me off of that trip, they're mostly great, they're mostly good. But overall, there is still this sentiment in the West that the only thing that exists is the physical. And so a lot of them were going with the skepticism of the work. Not like a lot of them, but like, and even the ones who didn't have a skepticism of a work, they just don't understand how the energetic body works, the spirit body works. And so like it just in their minds, it's woo-woo juju, but they know that it works in some way because people keep doing it. But it's just like, in my mind, I feel like that's almost disrespectful. It's just like, you're here because you believe that it works. But then when they talk about, your soul and your energetic body, and like the plants having energies and the plants being having spirits. Y'all, I went to the spirit realm and I saw the plant spirits. We'll talk about it a little bit. But it's just like, how can you come to this beautiful, spiritually rich place and then still question and doubt like spirituality, and question and doubt like that the life form and the consciousness of different plants and animals? It's just like, why do humans think that only humans have consciousness? Why do humans think that only humans have spirits? Like, why? It's because everything else doesn't talk. And it's like, and humans think that talking is the highest form of intelligence when it's actually the lowest form of intelligence. It's so dumb. Talking is so stupid. Like, I know I'm a talker, I'm a podcaster, so like it's quite ironic coming from me, but I'm also an energetic speaker. Like, I speak with plants and animals. I communicate with them through energy, through consciousness. And it's just like, it's just more honest. I wouldn't say it's more clear. It can be more clear, but it's just a more honest form of communication, which is why people who are deaf and can't hear, and so they speak only through sign language and body language, they are often scored as some of the happiest people on earth, because they cannot lie. They cannot be manipulated by words. They speak to each other raw and authentically through just body movement, which is how we used to speak before we gained language. And it's just like there's no way to lie. You can't, you know how hard it is to lie with your body. It is, you have to be a literally trained professional from birth. And because of that, they have such open and honest and raw communication, and it allows for like no miscommunication to happen. So it allows for a more authentic expression of self and a more happier life. When you are authentic to who you are and you're not lying and performing all the time, you are happier as a person. So anyways, so let's get into the ceremony. So there are 6 ceremonies. The first one, they give you a small dose, and it's like this the first time I tasted it, the ayahuasca, it comes in a little drink. It's a drink mix of ayahuasca, the plant, and then like I think it's DMT. It's like a psychedelic. There are 2 plants that they put in there, and they mix it together, and then they make it a drink. And that whole process is a whole process, and you need a healer to do that. And they like pray over it, and they put intentions in it, and like they work with the plants. They don't extract from the plants and then make the medicine. Like it is a together reciprocal process from the creation of it all the way to when you take it. And so they give you a shot. And the first one, they gave us a little bit, and it tasted, a lot of people described it like licorice. Licorice is, I feel like it tastes like mud, like dirt. Like it's very earthy, very like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just nasty. I will say it's nasty. Someone said it tastes like garbage. Like, I don't know what garbage tastes like, but yeah, it's like a little like poop. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's not a good, like the first time I tasted it just that little bit, I was like, again, as someone who works with a lot of different flavors in the kitchen, I'm always tasting my ingredients, even if they're disgusting. Like, I can taste it to discern how it will add to my dish. And so the first time I tasted it, I was just like, okay, I can see how this could like, be all right. How it could work. Like, it wasn't bad the first time I took it. But the problem is that ayahuasca makes you purge, and those purges can come out in many ways, like burping or yawning, but the most, almost 100% way it's going to come out is through vomiting. And so you're going to be nauseous and you're going to vomit. And so once you taste something that ends up making you vomit, like having to taste it again and then having to taste it again, it gets nastier and nastier every time, because your body's just like, oh no, not this. It's just, okay. So ceremonies they start at 8:00 at night. And so when you come into this temple, and you're in this big circle, all you and all the people in your group are in this big circle, you each have like a mattress that you're laying on. And it's only lit by lanterns. And so it's like you're in the dark, firelit lanterns in a circle, and you're like, did I just join a cult? Certainly 100%. That's how you feel when you are going to your first ceremony. You're like, what the heck did I get into? It's the middle of the night. You got these people in the middle of this circle. All of us are in a circle. There's only candle lit. It's quiet. This is weird. And so, but you're just like, okay, let's just, we got to trust the process. And so each person goes up one at a time, and they take their little dose of medicine, and then you sit back on your mattress for 30 minutes. After everyone takes it, everyone sits for like 30 minutes while while the medicine starts working through. And the first ceremony, it was, again, you got a little small dose, so like not a lot happened. But the second ceremony, when you got your first full dose, boy, oh boy. So first of all, that's where I feel like most people had their biggest like breakthroughs / awakenings during that second ceremony, because it was your first time like experiencing the medicine in its full capacity. And then also The first two ceremonies are for cleansing. I think maybe the first two ceremonies are for cleansing. So you take the medicine, you wait 30 minutes, you start to feel the vomit. You probably vomit. They literally give everybody a bucket. Like everyone gets a bucket. Because like they like that the whole that's like the vomiting is a physical manifestation of cleaning out the spiritual energy. So so your spirit body is inside of you, and it carries like it does different stuff, and whenever it leaves your body, it takes a physical like aspect of you with it, if that makes sense. So like it just the spirit needs a vehicle to move on. Like you are, like I said in a different episode, like your physical body is a cup holding your spirit energy. And so when you're releasing negative spirit energy, it has to come out in some sort of physical way. Or else it's like, because that's how it is. It's like it's energy and it manifests in a physical way. And so the first two ceremonies are about cleansing. So you take it, and you wait, and then you get vomit, nauseous, and then you just start hearing everybody just start vomiting, blah, blah, blah. Some people didn't vomit the first time, but then after the vomiting like kind of starts, then you'll hear some people, I felt like it was some of the most beautiful singing I have ever heard. So the Shipibo healers they sit in the middle of this like bigger outer circle of us. And then there's like a tiny little, like there were only 5 healers, which 5 is a lot actually. So there were actually 5 healers who are in the middle, and they start singing what they call Icaros. And these Icaros, they're at this frequency it is an energetic frequency like nothing you probably ever heard. And then when you're under the influence of the medicine, it like you connect with the frequency in a way that I can't explain it as anything less than magic. It is so magical. And the experience that you get from hearing the Icaros is different based on your needs. So the first 2 ceremonies were for cleansing. And so they would sing their cleansing Icaro. And so like if you had like a kind of like a lot of junk and a lot of dirt, you might have heard it and you might have been like, shut up, please. This is awful. This is horrible. But when I heard it, I was just like, whoa, this is beautiful. And so in the first 2 ceremonies, or the first ceremony, they came around, all 5 came to your like mattress and sang a personal Icaro for you. And then the next few ceremonies, just only a few came and sang to you. But when they were singing to you, and this is my experience from my second ceremony, it was incredible. It's like the word that comes to mind. But one thing that I want to like emphasize is that you could feel the energy of their song going into your body and kind of like searching for dirt is what comes like what the words that are coming to me. Like I could feel when this like man, he was singing, and I was under the influence of the medicine, and they also take the medicine themselves, the healers, and I could feel the medicine just like, not the medicine, the song like moving through me. And it felt like a spoon, almost like an energetic spoon was going into my body and like searching for dirt. That's what it felt like. And then I could feel him like when I could feel his energetic spoon, like, or scalpel, maybe scraper. I don't know. I could feel him hit a block that was in my stomach. And I was just like, and then I just felt this nausea, and I was just like, oh man, what's that? And it was just like, and I was just like, oh, that sucks. Like, it was just like, and he was singing, and I could feel him like poking at it. Like, and I was just like, what is that? And then I was just like, I couldn't explain. It's just like, I could feel him poking at this spot in my stomach. And then like he was singing, and then he got it. Like he just like, and then I threw up and I could feel him like break through this energetic block that I had in my stomach, and it came all out in my bucket. It came all out in my bucket. It was nasty. But then I had this, I will call it an awakening, where I started, like, I just got all, like, my higher self, she was activated. I literally heard her say in my mind, like, finally. She was like, finally, I'm free. And I was able to let her kind of take over my body, and all right, here you guys go. This is going to be she's lost it. And as I let her take over, like, here's the thing, I knew what was happening. I knew because when you go in and you drink this medicine, you have to give the medicine an intention. You have to talk to your cup of medicine. You say, my intention is for. And so, for example, there are some people who had, a lot of trauma when they were younger from men usually doing nasty and gross things to them. And, they may have had an addiction. And a lot of people come to ayahuasca for healing addictions. And so it could be like, oh, I want you to help me heal my trauma. Or like there was a man who had, the people were going through divorces, quite like myself. And so they were like, help me heal from this divorce. Or like there are people who kept like pushing people away in their lives, and they don't know why they have this scaredness to like let people in close, and just like help me be vulnerable. Like your intention could be anything that you want that you feel like you're struggling with. And so my intention going into this was like, help me find my higher self. Like, I know like there's something I've been feeling like I've been placed on this earth to do something. And I've had this, like, there's something I'm supposed to be doing, but I can't remember what it was. I've been having that feeling. And I know, like, it's like, if you ever had something you're supposed to do, you just can't remember what you're supposed to be doing. I've been having that feeling, especially since I got a divorce, and I was just like, what? And I've had it for a while, but I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I came to this earth to do something, and I just don't know what it is. Spoiler, I'm doing it. Hello. But yeah, so I was, help me find my higher self, help me talk to her, help me get in contact with her, help me understand, why did I manifest into the 3D? What am I supposed to be doing? Yeah. And so that was my intention. And boy, oh boy, was my intention met. And so whenever he got this final blockage out of my tummy, my higher self activated. She was online, she was open, she was woke, and she was like, hey girl, thank you for letting me out. And then my body, and I was like, I'm telling y'all, she took over, and then my body started doing all this weird stuff. And I was just all like, in there, like, you can't, like, I was just doing all this like weird snake movement. And then, like, the long story short is I found out my higher self is a snake. She's like this this ancient old primordial snake. And I was like, man, that makes so much sense, because, I've like, my first animal communication was with a snake. I've always like had like, okay, weird stuff. I used to have a gap in my mouth, like, and it like kind of like represented the, like, okay, here. And I'll pull out my journal for you guys, because you have no access to technology the whole time you're there. If you're like, there's no internet, there's no phones, there's nothing. So all you can do really is journal and read and reflect on yourself and the things that you're learning about yourself and the things you're going through, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so this is the picture that I drew after I had my second ceremony. And so she's a snake. So snakes have gaps with their fangs. And so that was like one of the things she was just like, yeah, you were born with a gap, because like that was like that was a physical manifestation of your fangs. What else did she say? Like, I've always liked to like sleep on my stomach. Like, even since I was a kid, my mom used to say I couldn't sleep unless I was on my stomach. What else? I've always been like a big meat eater. I always loved meat, and like snakes are carnivores. I do love me some veg. I like a good vegetable, but like, nah. I need chicken and I need fish. I need chicken and I need fish, which are two things that snakes, especially like water snakes, like anacondas and things, like they eat that. I've always had like a bad sense of hearing, and snakes don't have ears. And I also have never had like the best sense of sight. I've always been like a little bit nocturnal. I always get bursts of energy at nighttime. I got through college basically because I would take a little little nappy poo, and then I would just work from like probably like 10 to 2 or 3 in the morning, or like my sweet spot hours. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm so smart. I've gotten straight A's and A's and B's since I was in 5th grade. Basically, got a scholarship to college and all that stuff. And it's because I was like really grasp concepts quickly. And it was like I said, I'm an old primordial snake, and so I have like I understand the earth and the spirit realm so like intently, because I've done this before. I've been here before. I've been here hundreds of times, if not thousands, but probably thousands, honestly. But many, many times. And so it's just like, it's not all this stuff, like learning all this stuff is not new to me. It's all energetically imprinted in my spirit body. And so it's just like refreshing it for my new life. I always enjoy Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and he was talking to snakes, and I was just like, that makes sense to me. Like, oh, I've always liked sunbasking. I used to literally, when I was like a younger person, I used to say I'm cold-blooded, like not because I'm mean, but because my body is so reactive to the outside temperature. So like I would always sit outside in the sun and just absorb the sun, because I always felt like it just gave me a lot of energy, and reptiles always sit outside and absorb the sun. What else? I had a lisp as a kid and mind you, when you are a kid, you are closest to your spirit self. So however you were as a kid, that is likely much more representative of who you truly are on the inside than how you are after you've been indoctrinated by all of these narcissistic social hierarchies. So yeah, I had a lisp as a kid, and that's kind of, sometimes I don't think I have a lisp now, but sometimes it'll show back up, but that's it's very, it's very snake-like. And then recently, as I have been getting more and more in touch with my spirit self, I have been drawn to like the Great Mother, and like I've been reading up on, like even before this, y'all, I was like reading up on snakes a lot. And how snakes represented the feminine, and how they represent, shedding, like we shed our lining every month the same way a snake sheds their skin periodically, and that represents change and rebirth, and how they used to worship snakes so much. Not worship, but they understood the feminine energy that is the snake, that the snake represents. And so it's just like all this stuff, and I've been gravitating towards it in my life, again, way before I even went here. And that was my higher self, like guiding me to what the information I needed to know. because that she was like, so that was her. She was telling me this is who you are. And, so something else I like learned / kind of came to the understanding of is like, if you gravitate towards certain things or towards certain people or towards certain behaviors, you are like, that's for a reason. Like I met another guy. So not everybody there came to learn their higher self, but another guy, he found out basically that he was a frog. His higher self his spirit animal, if you want to call it that, is a frog. And then I was like looking at him, it's like, he has a froggy face. Like he had green eyes. And I'd say everyone with green eyes is a frog, but like, he's like, he always has been attracted to water and like swimming, like, and like when he was like in his free estate, he liked to do this like squat thing. He liked to be in a froggy position that made him very comfortable. And so it's just, I'm also very flexible. I've always been very flexible. And it's just like, I just thought that's, I'm just a flexible person, but like, that's another manifestation of my spirit, my energetic body being a snake, a vertebrae, like, just like y'all, like, I'm just like, I want to show y'all like how, like, but you can't see it because thing. Anyways, yeah, it's just like, I was like, whoa, totally. It all makes sense to me. So who is your spirit animal? Who is your higher self? Who is she in her most pure like form? Like, and you can manifest down, not always a human, you can manifest down as anything, but my purest, most pure energetic self, when she comes down, she wants to be a snake, but she comes down as a human to get things done whenever we got to come down here and get things done.